Hey Saners, welcome back to the Sanes TV YouTube channel. Hope you're all having a great week so far. Bit of a draft recap video today. I know that the draft is under a month away and we're all very excited by what we're going to do on that night. We're going to be very busy over the course of the 2 nights on the 20th and the 21st of November. But I wanted to look back at the last 3 or 4 drafts and kind of analyze those a little bit, because I feel like we've turned the corner in terms of drafting and we're starting to nail some of our key picks. And I know when you think draft and you think St Kilda, you go Billings and McCartan and you go down that rabbit hole. But I want to talk about the last 3 or 4 because I know Andrew Bassett said years ago that we're going to hit the draft 4 years in a row. We've done 3 and this is going to be 4. And then hopefully from that point on, free agency opens up and we can throw some money around and hopefully land a couple of big fishes. So this is kind of the last big draft for us because next year's a bit compromised and we're probably not going to be as active in the draft, let's face it, if we've got some money and we can land an LDU or something like that. So I've got the history of the draft here. Let's just scroll. So this is 2020. We'll go from 2020. I'm more alluding to 21 and beyond, but we'll just start with 2020. We know what happened there. We landed Jack Higgins and Brad Crouch. Higo, he's in our best 22. He's one of our leading goal kickers, and he will be part of our next premiership tilt. So that's where we're going to look at it, is who's going to be part of, the next Saints side to, let's say, make a prelim and push for a granny. Jack Higgins, I think we're pretty comfortable that he would be there. He's only... and we got him at 21, but he's now 24, 25. Still got plenty of good football ahead of him, still very young and in that perfect age bracket, which a lot of our team is at the moment. We're average age of about 24 and a half. So that's pretty strong considering, we've lost Seb Ross, Tom Campbell, potentially Tim Membry. So that skews the age a bit lower. Who was our picks this? So that year we only had pick 26. And because we traded 17, that's right, for Higo. Pick 26 and pick 45. Matty Allison, delisted, never played. Tom Highmore started really well in his career, then was delisted. Paul Hunter, Mason Wood, good pickup. Max Heath, we don't know yet, but still could be quite good. Mid-season draft pick 7, and Cooper Sharman. So we landed pretty much, Crouch is probably going to retire, but he put in some good football for us. But Sharman and Higo in there is not bad. You kind of take that. And obviously Mason Wood. So that's 3 starting 22 players right now, which is really important. 21. So Tom Campbell, we can ignore these. Delisted. Nasiah, gun, best 22, absolute superstar of the comp. A lot of clubs would love him in their team already. And he's only just getting started. Mitch Owens, so academy picks here, they were both bid on by Sydney and Geelong respectively. Mitch Owens, pick 33, Marcus Winhager, pick 47. What I love is that you can see the breakdown here of games they've played since they were drafted. So 63, 53, 52. This core here is coming through almost perfectly in line with each other, which means that when they all hit their peak, if this trajectory continues, they're going to be hitting form at the right time together, which is what you want. We can't have players that are hitting their peak now and we're waiting for players in 10 years' time. We need to be lining them all up pretty close together because that's how you snatch a flag. You need just 1 or 2 really good years from everyone and you can snatch a flag. And with these 3 already getting over 50 games each, that's a very, very successful performance from that draft. And that set us up big time. Obviously, a little bit of luck with the academy, but still, pick 33, pick 47. They could have gone earlier, but they didn't. And then, obviously, Naz, people questioned us with pick 11. And we backed ourselves. Best kick in that draft, and that's justified. Absolute gun. And look at that. 12 Brownlow votes already in his career. That's great. 2022. So we had... zone selection, Angus McLennan, who's played a couple of games, and to be honest, I think he could be quite a smoky to just be a really consistent player over the journey. Still early days, but I wouldn't necessarily think that's an absolute issue there. I think McLennan could be quite a good player. Pick 10. This is a bargain. Mateus Filippo at pick 10, 37 games already, 21 goals, and 1 Brownlow vote. Probably should have more, to be honest. Sadly, James Vanez at pick 31 didn't work out. Injuries, delisted. I was a bit shocked at his delisting, but delisted nonetheless. Ollie Houghton, still don't know, but a fair few raps. Could be delisted though this year. I'm hoping maybe we give him one more to prove himself, but again, injuries and that's kind of just set him back. Isaac Kilda, a lot of raps on him, still hasn't debuted. Playing really good football at Sandy, forward and back, and obviously a bit in the ruck. So he's one that maybe this year could debut. And I know internally they rate him as one of the most talented players at the club. Just raw talent. Whether that can translate into AFL football talent remains to be seen, but a question mark on him. Anthony Caminiti, I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, that was not in the national draft, but we still picked him up, and Liam Stocker. So, Pooh, Caminiti, Stocker, and then a couple there that haven't quite proven themselves, but still can. 2023, so last year, we had pick 18, Darcy Wilson, absolute bargain, nailed that. He had a phenomenal season, played 23 games, 15 goals, 10 coaches' votes. No Brownlow votes, which is surprising, but still nonetheless a very, very good season, and I think we can all be very happy that at pick 18, Darcy Wilson, if you had a redraft of last year, he's top 10, right? Like, I think he's top 10. He was a smoky for the Rising Star most of the season, so that just goes without saying. Same with, to be honest, with Mitch Owens, as well. We've had, a lot of shouts for Rising Star in the last couple of years, which is really exciting. Lance Collard played a couple of games, very, very raw talent. Obviously, we know what happened in the VFL, but in terms of his football ability, he's shown some crazy signs of just being an absolute freak on the football field. Didn't quite translate it on the AFL level just yet, but he's one that you just need to give time. And we've signed him on. I think he's one that eventually is going to click, and it's going to be super exciting. So he's a very special player. And at pick 28, that was a bargain. I know a lot of other clubs, like supporters that I've spoken to, were very excited about potentially getting Collard. They didn't land him, and we did. So that's really exciting. Angus Hasty, he's played a couple of games, 5 games in fact, and I like what I see. I think he's a Ross-Lyon type player. I don't think he'll put a foot wrong too often, and he's quite clean with the football, and he's got a bit of pace. So eventually, he might even grow into being quite a strong wingman, already at 190 centimetres, and he'll only grow from there. Hugo Garcia, at pick 50, by the way. Hugo Garcia. I don't really need to explain it because this is a Saints channel, so we can all understand. Hugo Garcia could be a very, very unique and special player. We were all pushing for him to get put into the team in the last 10 weeks. And every time he played, he showed something. That left foot dart, wasn't it against, was that against Sydney? I can't remember which game it was, but when he came on as a sub, and then his first 5 disposals, run down tackles, I was against Geelong, I think, and he chased down Max Holmes. But pick 50, this is what I mean by we've hit the draft in the last couple of years and we've done exceptionally well. To have Wilson, Collard, Hasty, Garcia, Ari, who came in and debuted in Brisbane and looked like he's played for the last 10 years. And everyone questioned that one at pick 62 because of his off-field, his behaviour, his mentality. He's one player that I think can step into the shoes of Josh Battle and do a fantastic job. So I'm really excited by it. That's a huge haul there. And even Liam O'Connell, there was an article on him yesterday. I think he's one that could debut in the next year or two. And, by all reports, he's training really well and he's a very good mark and he's quite a good kick. So Liam O'Connell could still work really well there. Bonner didn't work out, delisted. Max Hall we haven't seen. But again, a midfielder that's got a bit of grunt about him, took him in the mid-season draft at pick 4. And now 2024 so far, Jack McRae. So when you look at the last 3 years when Bassett kind of said, we're going to hit the draft, we're going to get some youth in, we need guns. Nasai's a gun. Mitch Owens, very unique player. Could be our Cam Rayner, to be honest. That's my like for like. Marcus Winhager. I think he can be a very, very good. I don't know if he's got the absolute star power as some of the other draftees that we've had, but he's going to be a very, very good player. If he gets his body right, he can be any type of midfielder we want, whether it's defensive or offensive, and he's got grunt. And he's still very young, and I think he's going to have a good career with St Kilda. Mateus, we all know, his ceiling is Very, very high. Very, very high. Went back to the VFL, worked on himself, came back, looked like an absolute gun midfielder, and already very tall, good size, can kick goals, beautiful left foot, very hard matchup. He's a very special player. And at pick 10, if he had a redraft, I mean, he was only a couple of days from going in the 2023 draft, I believe, and he would have been probably top 2 in that draft. So we lucked out there. Kamanides doing really well, coming along nicely. Darcy Wilson, he's going to play 250 plus games for the football club. I don't think, to me, he's the sort of player that's just never going to get injured and just going to run all day and be just impossible to play on. He's our Max Holmes, very quick, elite endurance, good for like 15 goals in 23 games, great start to his career, and he's only going to get better from here. Collard, TBC, but I have very high hopes. Angus Hasty, similar to Windy. Don't think he's ever going to be a superstar, but he's going to be a very, very good player across his career. Hugo Garcia could be the surprise of them all at pick 50. Could be one of our better mids in 3 or 4 years' time. With his sort of, ferociousness on the football. He just attacks it so hard and has a beautiful left foot. He's got the perfect balance of grunt, but a bit of class about him. And that's what takes people by surprise, because we see him tackle and chase and bump, but then he has that sort of nous to just hit a beautiful kick on his left foot in the corner of his eye. So that's a very special trait to have. Ari, I think he's going to be just one of those amazing, booming kicks out of the back line, but also accurate and, to get a tall like that at 194 that can play like a midfielder, although he's probably on the slower side, but can still be a high possession getter and hit targets and open up the game. Very, very important. O'Connell, TBC, Bonner's done, Max Hall, not sure. And then this year, not draft, but Jack McRae. So I think when you look at the history over the last 4 or 5 years, I think we've done a very, very good job at the draft, but this is the year. We all know that. Pick 7, pick 8. What do we do there? I think it's going to be very interesting. I know that the Phantom Draft, I think, came out the other day, and it's got a few very handy names landing in our laps. There's talks that we might even trade pick 8 to Richmond, maybe for 10 and 11, or maybe even GWS for, I think, 14, 15 or 15, 16, but keep 7 nonetheless. So if we can land a Josh Smiley in one of those picks, I'd be very happy, because he's an absolute enormous lad, Paddy Cripps type, and I think he complements what we've got already. So when you look at the core of the team and sort of the types that we're bringing through, there's so many different talents there. We haven't really had this much sort of good youth since early 2000s. And there was a tweet, I should have saved it, but there was a tweet comparing, it had like North's top 10 sort of youth that they've drafted. And obviously they've had a lot of number 1, number 2 picks over the years, finishing at the bottom. We haven't had that luxury, but they had side by side with us. And you think like they had Sheasel and Filippo. And then from, obviously you probably pick Sheasel at the moment, but who knows where Filippo is going to end up. But after that, it was very, very even, which is interesting considering where they've finished and where we finished in the last 4 years. That to me shows that our drafting has been on point. If we're equal with a team that has so many first round picks like North, and we're doing what we're doing with picks that, 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, it's not, none of those picks were in the top 10. None of them. Filippo was 10. I mean, there you go. He was the only top 10. But apart from that, everyone else was 11 or beyond. So for us to do what we've done, I think has been really excellent. And if we can top it up this year with the picks that we've got, obviously with our academy, with our father-son, and our 7 and 8, then we're in a very, very good position to target free agency next year. So I just wanted to do a bit more of a deep dive into what we've done in the last 3 or 4 years. Obviously, we've targeted some running type players, but also ball users, with Filippo, with Naz, with Wilson, but can run. Good size about them as well. They're not just these small kids, Filippo's a tall lad. Wilson's a pretty big, in terms of physicality. He's quite mature for his age. Naz was the only one, but really the way he plays, it doesn't matter what his size is. even though I think he's actually put on a few kilos in the last year from what I've seen in person. So this year, if we can get a big mid, another running, classy mid on the outside, like a Reed and a Smiley or something like that, who knows what we can do in the next 3 to 4 years' time when all these players hit the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 100 games together. That's the key. They grow together, they play together, and when it all clicks, it's going to be beautiful. So let me know your thoughts, Saners, on this year's draft, on previous drafts. I didn't want to go too far back because I know we're just going to get stuck into the Paddy McCartan Billings. That's a different type of video entirely. I'm talking about the last 3 to 4 years and who is at the club right now to take us to the promised land. So hopefully you enjoyed the deep dive. Thanks very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you have a great rest of your week. And as always, go you mighty Saners. See you guys.